Welcome back to Retro Wrestling Reviews. You join me still in the thick of it with this gauntlet match up against Bradshaw of the Acolytes. When you left me last time, I'd just been drop kicked, but I came back from that pretty quickly. And now I'm going to try and run through Bradshaw with similar gusto because I beat D'Lo Brown pretty quickly, I think. I think that's not bad going. Um, the gauntlet match provided a little bit of a cliffhanger, but not as dramatic as I'd like. I think for maximum cliffhanger points, I should have been like bloody and beaten up and in red and really struggling. But touch wood, I'm not doing too terribly today. I'm not doing too terribly. I might be Intercontinental Champion before you know it. Um, the calendar for this series, I'm on Monday Night Raw here, of course. Raw is War. I've got another episode of Shotgun Saturday night, and then it's the pay-per-view. My second pay-per-view. I don't know which one it'll be. Last time it was in your house where I beat Goldust for the European Championship. I don't know whether I face the. I don't know whether I get the Intercontinental title shot at the pay-per-view, or if I have to wait another month for that. I said at the very start of this series that I have kind of vague memories that like the King of the Ring takes place and the Royal Rumble takes place and stuff. So maybe it's the King of the Ring. I really don't know. That is just like a pure guess on my part. I'm so sorry. I hope I'm able to edit out that little kind of hiccup I just did. Um, but because I was mid sentence and didn't pause the game, it's going to be difficult without just losing a chunk of gameplay. And you guys don't mind. Come on, we're all friends here now. You guys have been with me for this journey for quite a few videos now. What amounts to probably a few hours of gameplay. We've been on this road together, and you've watched me the trials and tribulations of like struggling with Sergeant Slaughter, getting beat by Jerry the King Lawler and Brian Christopher, overcoming Goldust to become European champion. It's been a journey, and I thank you all for being with me every step of the way. Especially Ray and Matty, who do very kindly like watch these videos and don't just watch them but message me to tell me how that they enjoyed them pretty regularly. Obviously, I'm not expecting everyone watching to message me because most of you won't have my phone number, but I do appreciate anyone who's watching, and I've had some lovely comments in some of these videos too, which is really nice. Man, from acolyte to acolyte, I'm in there against Farouk. Um, I don't remember. So I'm trying to think who else in the game I fought so far is like a former world champion. So I fought Edge, and he did eventually become WWE champion, and I fought Christian, and he eventually became a world heavyweight champion, and I just beat Bradshaw, who eventually became WWE champion. But as far as like people who'd already held a world title, I think Farouk might be the first one because he was WCW champion in the early 90s. So I think this is the first person I'm wrestling who is a former world champion at the time I'm wrestling him. So yeah, I guess that makes Farouk like a bit of a final boss vibe from Farouk. A little bit of Farouk trivia. So he entered the WWF in 1996 with a feud with Ahmed Johnson. At the time, he was managed by Sonny, but that didn't last for very long. But the one thing is, he was in WCW in the early 90s and was world champion and held the tag titles and was pretty successful. But when he left WCW, he couldn't get any work in wrestling, and he had actually kind of semi-retired from wrestling and was just working as the manager of a warehouse. Like he'd completely left the business, and then in the mid 90s when Vince was looking for sort of big names to help with the Monday Night War. He just lost Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to WCW and so on. He needed big names, and so he just kind of put the feelers out and was like, this guy's a former world champion. In theory, at least, he is a name from WCW, so I'll bring him in. And he was never as successful in the WWF. Like he certainly didn't win any world titles. I don't think he held any singles titles in his time in the WWF. Um, but I would say his most iconic run was as an acolyte with Bradshaw. Certainly as the APA. I think lots of people my age who only watched wrestling during the Attitude Era, I'm sure have fond memories of the APA and their either their protection racket and their poker games and their beer drinking. And I'm sure lots of people remember that era of his career a lot more fondly than when he was former football star Ron Simmons and winning the world title. I'm just running through these guys quite quickly. I hopefully like that's. that's working for me. Like I'm not really messing around. I've not really tried to do my finisher this session yet. Um, oh, Jeff Jarrett, my boy. You know what? Actually, I'm too. I say that too often. Jeff Jarrett's not my boy. I don't dislike Jeff Jarrett, but he's definitely not one of my boys. I have to say his hair looks pretty silly in this game. Like he's got a real flat top. Like he did have a bit of a flat top in life, but certainly not as pronounced as that. He needs a bit more of a fade, I think. Like he looks kind of silly. Is it just me? It's probably just me. Being very critical of Double J's hair here. But he is another fresh face. You know, I said at the start of the previous video that I was hoping to get some fresh faces as I moved into the Intercontinental title rankings, and this has been a whole match of fresh faces with Bradshaw and Farouk and now Double J. Hopefully that continues. I want to see as much of the roster as possible. I am still planning on showing off the create a character mode in this game too. I might um, take a little, maybe in the next recording session, I'll take a little break from season mode and do a video on create a character mode. So yes, in fact, I've just decided as I'm saying out loud that the next recording session I'm going to take a little break from season mode and I'm going to record some create a wrestler. So if there's someone in particular you'd like to see me try and make, then please let me know. I would kind of like it to be someone from this era. So this game is kind of set. This roster is like very late 1998 to early 1999. You know, like Owen Hart's in this game and he died in May of 1999, so pre-May of 1999. Like Dr. Death Williams um, is in this game and he left the WWF in January 1999, so that gives you a rough idea of when it's set. So yeah, someone from that era who isn't in the game. I can't really think of any, but like I was thinking maybe the Big Show because he debuted in the WWF in February 1999, but at the same time, because all the character models in this game are the exact same size, I feel like creating the Big Show is kind of a waste because he's going to be the same size as like X-Pac and Owen Hart. Um, man, I should have just pinned Jeff Ladd the chance, shouldn't I? I was too busy chit-chatting. Story of my life. Ask my wife. Okay. I'm just going to try and knock him down. I might try and do the mandible claw because I've been avoiding it this session, but I think I do need to get back on the horse. You can't live in fear. You can't live in fear, guys. I'm trying to hit him with the pile driver, but he's just on a bit of a roll here. Like I'm not too worried. Like my health is still green and his is red. Like I'm one big knockout move away from victory, regardless. I would like it to be an interesting move. Okay, DDT. Right, let's quickly remind myself how to do the mandible claw. So left, right, down, circle. Left, right, down, circle. There we go. Beautiful. Oh man, I'm so happy. I've done it loads of times, but I've been in a little bit of a mandible claw drought. I'm not really figuring out how to do it, and I feel like that's a really fitting way to end this gauntlet. You know, I ran through three opponents in pretty rapid succession, and then up against former Intercontinental Champion Jeff Jarrett, mandible claw puts him down for the victory.